Laura, thank you. Welcome to T-Town, Bryant-Denny Stadium, where today Mercer and Alabama meet on the gridiron for the first time since 1940. Mercer closes its season. Alabama looking to put it together for a stretch run. Welcome to SEC College Football, presented by Allstate. #1 Alabama, undefeated. And with the playoff in their sights, all they have to do is win out the Iron Bowl next week. That will put them in an SEC championship game in their 4th consecutive college football playoff. For Nick Saban, nobody's done that. Welcome, everybody. Tom Hart alongside Jordan Rogers. We'll get to Coach Hublick in just a moment. It's really simple for Alabama to win another national title. All they have to do is win.
Yeah, and really simple to look forward to next week in the Iron Bowl if you were a little weak-minded, but that's not the case tonight. Auburn forced 5 turnovers, against Mercer. So this Alabama football team not overlooking this Mercer game in anticipation of getting to the playoff.
It is kind of unbelievable that Mercer will play at Auburn and at Alabama in the same season. They hung with Auburn early this year back in September. Alabama won the toss. The Tide will receive as Alabama looks to get off to a good start in a game in which they are heavy favorites. No chance for a return for Alabama. And here we go with quarterback Jalen Hurts. A school record 21 career rushing touchdowns for Hurts. He's completed 60% of his passes this season. Came in as a great weightlifter, and all he does is win. It's all in the family for Hurts. Played for his dad. His brother was on the team and also a college football player as well. Wonder how long we'll see Jalen Hurts on the field today. 11 touchdowns to just 1 pick. He'll start with Damian Harris behind him in a 2 tight end set with Hale Henches and Irv Smith Jr. And Harris will take it straight up the middle on 1st down. And he's able to rip off a 7-yard run. Big advantage up front for Alabama and their offensive line as we take a look at the Crimson Tide starters.
Just saw it carried by Damian Harris there. Probably one of the more talented running backs in this entire league. His explosiveness, his physical presence. This offensive line continuing to play better. They struggled at times this season, but he's as talented as they come, Damian Harris.
Mercer has some talented linebackers that have put up big numbers. Will Conway in on his first stop alongside Lee Bennett. Bennett's got 102 tackles coming in. And Conway has multiple double-digit tackle games. On 3rd and 3, Jalen Hurts will scramble for a 1st down. Interesting talking to Nick Saban about his quarterback, Jalen Hurts, his propensity to run. He and his offensive coordinator, Brian Dable, have said, in some practices, you're not allowed to run.
Yeah, and that's why we've seen Jalen Hurts develop as a passer. You're going to see the intermediate passing game much more prevalent. You don't want to take the running element out of a guy's game because Jalen Hurts is so good at it. You just want to force him to develop himself and hone those skills.
Only 2 yards on that carry for Harris. Stopped by Isaiah Bueller up front. Bueller. As we look at the Mercer's defense.
We already called Lee Bennett's name. He's adding to that 102 tackles he came into the game. 103 now. He's all over the field. Mercer will need him big today.
So we've got Bueller on the defensive line for Mercer and Mr. Hand on the defensive line for Alabama. Hurts over the middle. First pass attempt is hauled in by Calvin Ridley. Their do-everything receiver. Brought down by Harrison Poole. That is the 50th catch of the season for Ridley. And 41st consecutive game in which he's had a reception.
He's big. He's talented. Probably the best thing he does, though, is understand defense. You see him stair-step above the linebacker, then flatten back out into that intermediate zone. And a good pass and vision by Hurts.
And out of the perimeter, it's back to Ridley again. And Ridley will turn it upfield and pick up the 1st down. It's really amazing the way they're able to move Calvin Ridley around the field to put him in a position to make catches.
Yeah, he's really the guy. I mean, the ball isn't spread around too liberally by Jalen Hurts. They know who they're going to go to, and that's why you'll see him inside, outside. They'll do everything from motioning him to bringing him across the formation to find the ball.
Back to Damian Harris. Tried to cut back, and he'll take a couple Bears with him and carries that pile for a gain of 7. Easily at the bottom of that pile for the Mercer Bears. They come in at 5-5, 4-4 in the SoCon. They are done after today. This is their regular season finale. No playoffs in the future for Bobby Lamb's team. He came over to birthed this program after decades with the Furman Paladins as both an assistant and a head coach. Second and 3, Harris again. Seven yards that time. There's Bobby Lamb. His son's a quarterback at Appalachian State and having a great season. They're in line for a Sun Belt title, perhaps. Bobby Lamb in his 5th season as a head coach at Mercer. They originally were in the Pioneer League, a non-scholarship league, after a 71-year absence in college football on their Macon campus. Bo Scarborough has entered a tailback for Alabama. His first touch, and he crawls forward for 3. Opening drive for Alabama. And this will be their 10th play of their opening drive. Hurts on play action, fires, caught, touchdown, Irv Smith. His 3rd of the season. And a little misdirection by Jalen Hurts.
That is stealing right there, Tom Hart. Was faking the outside zone one way, slipping the tight end Irv Smith underneath the formation. That's why this run game, this offense is so dangerous. You key in on the run, play action pass is what Jalen Hurts excels at. He's going to see Irv's going to come across the formation. They're going to fake the zone this way, and that gets the defense. And then it's a nice, easy throw for Jalen Hurts. Great play fake, extension of the ball.
J.K. Scott for the point after, and he bangs it through. The senior from Denver on senior day puts Nick Saban's team up 7-0 after the completion from Hurts to Smith, capping a 10-play, 75-yard drive, 12th touchdown pass in the season for Jalen Hurts. Alabama, early touchdown lead. Let's take a look at today's keys to the game, brought to you by Lending Tree. For Mercer, be creative, make memories, and make history. This is the 2nd time in their football history that they're playing number 1. First time was October of 1939 against number 1 Tennessee. They lost 17-0 in Knoxville. For Alabama, give 4 quarters of effort. Iron Bowl is up next. Everybody knows that. And accept new responsibilities. Some players shuffling around on both the offensive line and at the linebacker position. We'll get an update on that in just one moment. Alabama won the toss. They score on their opening drive. And now Mercer will have a chance. Chandler Curtis and Alex Lakes back to receive for the Bears. This is Curtis, the senior from Calhoun, Georgia. And makes it to the 20 and pass it. Curtis to the sideline, and a positive return for Mercer. And great field position on a 39-yard return. Let's go down to the field as we say hello for the first time to Cole Kublik.
Tom, injury's been a big story for this Alabama football team today. Offensive lineman Ross Pierce-Baker, defensive back Minka Fitzpatrick, and linebackers Terrell Lewis and Christian Miller not dressed out today, so will not be appearing against Mercer for the Crimson Tide.
Trying to find some depth at that linebacking position, and so Dylan Moses, the freshman from Baton Rouge out of U-High, gets to start today. Parade National Player of the Year, Butkus Award winner, is a top high school linebacker coming out of IMG Academy. And we'll see if he can make some plays for Bama. And the first play from scrimmage, T. Mitchell gets no gain. Kalen Riley is a redshirt freshman quarterback for Mercer. He's replacing quarterback John Ross, who's a 4-year starter, comes from an athletic family. Both his mom and dad were college basketball players. He's one of 17 players on the watch list for the Stats FCS Jerry Rice Award. 13 touchdowns and 7 picks on the season for Riley. He's a big dude, 6'3", 222 at quarterback. To the sideline, great separation made by Marquise Servin, and he's got a first down on Anthony Averett. Here's how Alabama lines up on D.
Yeah, Tom, you mentioned, and Cole mentioned as well, the injuries. Dylan Moses will be filling in for Keith Holcomb, who started last game, who was filling in for linebackers Sean Dion Hamilton and Mac Wilson, both out with injuries. A young, talented linebacker. The physicality that he brings will be the reason he's starting today, but he'll be the one that's, can we see him communicate? Get the guys lined up. The youth is what we're watching for today.
And Minka Fitzpatrick, everything in the defensive backfield is out as well today. They want to rest him up and get him ready for next week. Riley will hand it off. This is T. Mitchell. And Mitchell squirts through before he's brought down by Moses. What do you think the Alabama coaching staff and specifically D coordinator Jeremy Pruitt are looking for from Moses today?
Alignment and assignment. I mentioned he's physically gifted, Moses is, but as a true freshman, this is a complex defense that Alabama runs. And when we asked Jeremy Pruitt about it, do you limit the plays? No, you don't necessarily limit the plays, but you limit the complexity. I want to see him communicate and help get guys lined up.
2nd and 1, opening drive for the Mercer Bears out of the Southern Conference. Alabama brings pressure from the edge, and Evans and Riley floats it incomplete. Throws it away. Sam Walker the nearest.
We can already see Mercer in their strategy take every second of that play clock off. They want to shorten this game, which means aside from that pass right there, we're going to see a lot of T. Mitchell running the football. He's explosive. He's their speed guy, can really stretch the edges. But again, run the football, shorten this game, and a good start to this game for the Mercer offense already.
3rd and short. Out of the gun, needing 1. Mitchell brought down behind the line of scrimmage by Dylan Moses, and a freshman in on another stop, and that will force Mercer to make a decision on 4th and 2.
Now you're going to see Moses come off the edge. This is a great job. He's physical, instinctive. That's what they were missing last week with Keith Holcomb in the game. Holcomb's great at the assignment, getting guys lined up. But the hesitation we saw last week against Mississippi State was the reason they found some success on the ground. Moses already not hesitating.
Looked like Riley had a first down if he would have kept it. Cole Fisher, junior from Walnut Grove, Georgia, out of Archer High School, on to attempt a 52-yarder. His long is 36. Does he have the leg? Oh, off the crossbar. Why not give it a try if you're Mercer? This is the final game of the season, so they trot Fisher out for a kick that's 16 yards longer than his career long. He would have had a memory on this one. Just one rotation short, and it bounces back towards the field. 7-0, number 1 Alabama.
SEC Network Football is presented by Allstate, official protector of college football fans.
Nick Saban honoring 21-man senior class, part of 50 wins against just 4 losses. They have a chance to tie the NCAA record with the 51st win today that was set by Alabama's 2016 senior class. Only lost to 3 teams total. Ole Miss twice, Ohio State and Clemson. Josh Jacobs gets a carry, his first touch of the day, and he's able to push off a 12-yard run, taken down by Eric Jackson, the sophomore from McLean High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. A guy that they'd like to get into the rotation a little bit more.
Yeah, Saban even mentioned how they need to figure out ways to get him the ball. Had some significant carries and time in the second half last week. 2-back set already, and this is where he's dangerous, out of the backfield.
And Jacobs has another first down. Time to get back to the studio. Here's Peter Burns.
What's up, Tom Hart? How about a studio update? And how about the Auburn Tigers? I know a couple Alabama fans are looking at that team. Kerryon Johnson rushing touchdown in 7 of his last 8 games now. But Louisiana Monroe has it 1st and goal on Auburn right now.
All right, Peter, thank you. By the way, it's our first time back with Peter since the birth of his son, Bo. So congratulations to Peter, his beautiful wife, Lauren. What a wonderful family. Great to have them back. Let's just hope he gets his mom's looks.
Oh, you know, Peter's a good-looking guy.
Daughter Bo, pardon me.
Yeah, it's the Cajun spelling.
Yeah, they went to the X.
B-E-A-U-X.
I would have been on top of that if we were in LSU like we're going to be next week.
Yeah.
We got to go Bo already. 2nd down and 10 for Alabama. And Hurts looking over the middle. Got all day. Lets it fly. Complete. This is Jacobs, and he's taken down inside the 5. Second catch for Jacobs out of the backfield.
this is where he's dangerous. I just mentioned he can run the football as good as anybody on this roster, but averaging over 14 yards of reception since his time has increased. Hamstring bothered him earlier in the year. He's going to be more and more a part of this offense moving forward.
Here's Najee Harris, and he waltzes in for an Alabama touchdown. 3-yard run for Harris. Third of the season for the freshman. .65 yards on that 5-play drive. Josh Jacobs handling most of it. And J.K. Scott on for another point after. Jalen Hurts, with patience in the pocket, is able to find Josh Jacobs out of the backfield to set up a 1st and goal. Najee Harris will do the rest of the work. 2-score lead for #1 Bama.
Other games going on. Let's get you a quick studio update. Arkansas needs to win their last 2 games to be bowl eligible. David Williams takes it in 7-0 against Mississippi State in Fayetteville. But how about this? Virginia up 7-0 on Miami, and the Hurricanes just threw a pick. 7-0. Interesting in that one. Tom Hart, Bo's mom is mad at you, my friend.
Please. As long as Bo's not mad at me, I think I'm fine. That could be a monster win for Bronco Mendenhall in Virginia, and a huge loss for the ACC as a whole because their championship game is already set. Miami loses to Virginia, and then they knock off Clemson. Yikes, what's going to happen in the playoff for the ACC? Here's what's happening with Alabama's offense. They're averaging better than 9 yards a play.
Yeah, and Jalen Hurts' patience in the pocket on a few of these throws. What I was talking about early in the game that he's been improving on, and this is the Alabama we know. Running the football, Josh Jacobs, talented runner, and then also getting the ball down the field to set up the short touchdown run by Harris.
Alabama has gotten off to incredibly fast starts this season. They've scored more points in the first half than 24 FBS teams total. And it's the first quarter where they've really gotten off to great starts. Touchdowns in each of the first 2 drives here. Chance for Mercer to put something together. They look pretty good on their first drive. Kalen Riley looking into man coverage again, knocked down by Levi Wallace. Had a chance to spend some time with Levi yesterday. What a fantastic individual. The senior from Tucson, Arizona, was unrecruited. You know the story. He came here and at first played intramural football. Told us he still keeps in touch with those guys he played flag football with. In fact, one of them caught up to him this week. Such a show him and let him know he'd gone out and bought a number 39 jersey.
I don't know if I've ever sat down with a more put-together young man. And his story, unbelievable.
Mitchell and Leggett in the backfield. This is T. Mitchell. And he's got to fight and scratch for some yards. Able to find 3 that time, coming off of a career-high 26 carries in the win against Western Carolina.
I mean, Wallace was playing intramural football. There's some guys in the stands out there that go, hey, I was playing against that guy.
There's people in the stands who say, I beat that guy. They didn't even win it.
That's right. I asked him, how did you guys ever lose? He said, yeah, actually, we lost in the semi-championship. How? Also played quarterback. Here's what he said. He said it was cold that day, and he's not truly a quarterback, but he could probably whip it around. He said, my hands were cold. He's an Arizona boy, so I couldn't grip the ball. So they lost.
He's got some big mitts, too.
He does.
3 picks on the season for Wallace, 2 against Ole Miss, including one of them returned for a score. Bunch formation for Mercer. Riley on the run, fires a bullet, good for a first down. That's Irvin, the junior out of Madison County High School up in Huntsville. And it's an 8-yard gain.
Boy, the difficulty of that throw right there, can't understate it. Throwing to the left as a right-handed quarterback. He's got to whip his shoulders around at the last minute, and he fits that ball in to Irvin in a tight window. You can already see this is Mercer's plan. Man press coverage is tough to hit anything vertical on the outside. Move the pocket with your quarterback, who is mobile. He's not going to beat you way downfield running the football, but get him outside the pocket, get away from the noise, complete some balls.
Here's T. Mitchell. Let's go down to the field and check in with Cole.
Tom, I asked Jeremy Pruitt, Alabama defensive coordinator, before the game, what do we need to watch? What do we need to pay attention to? And he said, you need to watch the communication between myself and Dylan Moses. Be signaling plays into him. He's going to be distributing that to the rest of the defense. And if you recall back yesterday in our meeting with him, Tom, he said, hey, man, I love this game like this tomorrow because the crowd is going to actually let me communicate with these guys. They're going to be able to hear what we're talking about. We went to practice the other night. You couldn't hear anything. I don't know how those guys coach those players are so loud in it.
My ears are still ringing. By the way, it's the same soundtrack that Kirby Smart uses at his practices. He borrowed that from Coach Saban. We might see an Alabama-Georgia matchup in the SEC championship game. Here's T. Mitchell again. Let's get back to the studio once again. Here's PB.
Tom, everyone's looking forward to the Iron Bowl. Maybe Auburn too much. 4th and goal for the Warhawks. Louisiana Monroe, a little razzle-dazzle. They tie it midway through the first, 7-7.
Sometimes you bite into that cupcake and it's got something in the middle that you didn't expect.
That is true. How about that, though? A little razzle-dazzle. That's something I expect to see a little bit out of Mercer. Last game of the year on the road at Alabama. Dial up some of those trick plays you've had in your back pocket all year.
It fits the MO of Bobby Lamb. For years and years, he's done that. And a little bit of shifting here. They'll go wildcat out of this formation sometimes. Instead, Riley takes it. We'll move the pocket again. We'll try to scramble for it. And picked up the first down on a run of 5.
Benefit of getting your quarterback outside the pocket. I was down on the field earlier talking to Trey Lamb, the quarterback coach for Mercer. This is becoming their 3rd down play. Get Kalen Riley outside the pocket, some rub routes out of a bunch, try to create separation and tight man coverage, and if nothing's there, use your feet to pick up a few.
Riley's used to hearing the voices of Lambs in his head. He played for his head coach's brother at Calhoun High School. That was Hal Lamb. And another Lamb as his quarterback coach. And Bobby is the head coach. Little option pitch. Here's T. Mitchell to the 40. Dylan Moses, another stop for number 18. Coming out of IMG Academy, he was number 5 in ESPN's 300. Rated as the #1 athlete and the #1 player coming out of the state of Florida.
Coaches on this staff say he was probably one of the most physically ready linebackers they've ever had come in. Transferred early in the spring, and this last spring was dominating guys from the get-go, taking on linemen in the gap, in the hole. So just the mental side of it that he's catching up on the more game experience he gets.
I love that idea that he showed the physicality early. On 2nd and 7, nothing doing there. But if you come out as a true freshman linebacker and you run your first inside drill and you cause people to raise the eyebrows, you're doing something right.
Yeah, usually those freshmen, their eyes are really wide that first couple practices. Usually not coming up with some authority and smacking some veteran O-linemen. That's what Moses was doing. The talent they knew he's always had. With the injuries at linebacker, he's continuing to grow and get more experience out there.
First 3rd and long for Mercer. This is a 3rd and 9. They converted 2 third downs on this drive. Play clock is at 5. 4-man rush for Bama. On the run, lobbed, incomplete. Missed opportunity.
They're going to keep the offense out there?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's your last game of the season. You're at #1. Why would you punt on the plus side of the 50? I think is what Bobby Lamb's probably thinking. Remember, they attempted that long field goal last time, and they're going to punt it away this time. So Grant Goupel, the freshman, will come out. We expect him to throw caution to the wind a time or two over the course of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing to lose. We mentioned it last game of the season as well. On the road at Alabama. This is a difficult one. It's that middle ground, too long for a field goal, but you also have 10 yards for a first down, so I can understand a punt here.
And it's a beauty of a punt. Down at the 2 after a 40-yarder from Goupel. Eric Jackson downs it, and Mercer's got Alabama backed up. Worst field position of the day. You want to talk upsets? Let's take you back to the NCAA tournament. 14 seed Mercer, 3 seed Duke with Jabari Parker. Mercer was down 1 at the half. Only 3% of the 11 million ESPN brackets picked this upset. Mercer closed on a 20-5 run. They danced away to the second round. At the time, that was the 1,176th program win for Mercer basketball. That was only 191 more wins than Coach K had at the time. Coach Lamb gave his football players a day off. A bunch of them piled into some of the 17 buses that the school president rented to drive the students up to Raleigh to see that monumental upset. Bo Scarborough rips off 3. Only 3% of 11 million brackets had Mercer winning that game against Jabari Parker, Quinn Cook, Coach K, and Duke.
Mine did not.
Neither did mine.
Doesn't matter the sport, though. You can find some inspiration in what the basketball team has done as well.
Scarborough got helicoptered, able to fly for 4. Will Conway hit him while he was in the air.
Tom, I can guarantee you this. This Mercer defense has not seen an athlete as big and physical as Bo Scarborough. Almost kept his feet there and kept going. 6'2", 235 pounds seems light to me. He's as big and as athletic of a guy these Mercer Bears have seen all year, for sure.
3rd down 4. Hurts will keep it. He'll run for a first down and plenty more if he wants it. Hurts sidesteps his way out of bounds for gain of 26. Big Matt Womack was leading the way for him, the right tackle for Alabama at 324 pounds. And he paves the way to another long play for Alabama. 1 quarter in the books in T-Town. #1 team in the country has a 14-0 lead on Mercer.
Another quick studio update. Bama's so good, sometimes they beat you 2 weeks in a row. Look at what's happened in Mississippi State. Arkansas, Brisson Guidry with the recovery. 14-0 for the Hogs. And Jared Stidham against Louisiana Monroe. Bad. Ill-advised pass, interception. Auburn does have the ball back, though. Back to T-Town.
I'd like to see more advised passes in the game of football.
Don't like those ill-advised
ones. They usually get picked. Here's a look at the college football playoff rankings, the top 10 teams. Penn State's got Nebraska later today. Ohio State could be one of those teams that sneaks in at the end. We'll take a look at the top 4 and the top 6 a little bit later. Hurts with a pump and go. Wide open is Calvin Ridley. And Ridley will win every foot race. It's a 66-yard touchdown pass. Ridley already over the century mark. Hurts has thrown 2 touchdowns. It's the 8th career 100-yard game for Calvin Ridley, the junior from Fort Lauderdale, tying Julio Jones for 3rd in school history. Just through for J.K. Scott. Hurts to Ridley. They are dangerous.
Ridley working on Harrison Poole here. What you're going to see without coverage, a little sluggo, little slant and go. And you're not going to see many routes run better than this. Look at the eyes. The eyes look in. That's what sells it. Harrison Poole was beat off the get-go. And that's an easy throw. That's one of those, don't overthrow him, don't overthrow him, don't overthrow him.
I would call this an advised throw.
That is very advised. Ridley almost put his hand up for a fair catch there. But that route, that was such a good route.
When you talk to Alabama players about Calvin Ridley and ask him what makes Ridley so good, they almost don't have an answer.
I've heard 5 or 6 things.
Yeah.
He's physical, he's big, he's fast. His knowledge of the game, and Levi Wallace said he can stop on a dime. So much so that his knees hurt. And Levi's like, it hurts my knees too. I don't know how he does it.
He pointed out a curl route that he ran a couple of weeks ago. He said he runs so hard and cuts so hard, it's almost impossible to cover.
Yeah. And as I drew up there, the subtlety to playing the position of wide receiver. Selling a sluggo and looking in off that second in cut, that second step on your in cut right before you put your foot in the ground and get vertical. That's what beats defenders. That's why NFL scouts are drooling over him. The physical tools as well as the mental intangibles.
Hurts now third in school history in total offense. J.K. Scott will kick it away. Chandler Curtis will not have a return. Our day of college football continues at 4 o'clock Eastern. UAB looking for an upset as they travel to Gainesville. It's been a great season for the Blazers. We also have Wofford against South Carolina. And the SEC alternate channel, and to cap off the day, Missouri and Vandy in our SEC Saturday night game. Presented by Holiday Inn Express. All 3 games also streaming live on the ESPN app. Drew Lock's having a historic season. He's got his name with another touchdown pass with some of the elites in SEC history.
He's going to have a chance to go at that 40 mark. To be the most touchdowns ever by an SEC quarterback in the season. Andre Woodson.
Riley on the play action. Intercepted by Alabama and Hootie Jones. On senior day, Jones has his 2nd pick of the year. A few more snaps for Hootie Day today with Minkah Fitzpatrick getting a rest, and he's able to take advantage. 13th pick for this Alabama defense this season.
And a ball hawk. They got ball hawks all over the secondary, but just a great play here by Hootie Jones. This is a deep over route off of play action coming from the backside. You see how he starts on top of the receiver, and as he understands where he's going, he cuts underneath. A ball Kalen Riley will want to either hold on to and scramble or throw 10 feet over his head into the 10th row of the bleachers.
We've already seen 4 different running backs for Alabama. It's Damian Harris again, the starter, back in. And he pounds out 8.5 yards. Eric Jackson with the stop. Alabama offensive line operating without Ross Piercebaker. Piercebaker injured last week against Mississippi State. Maybe out a couple of weeks. J.C. Hassenauer in at left guard. Senior getting his first career start on senior day. And a pretty good one in center of Bradley Bozeman. Here's Robert Foster on the jet sweep. And Foster takes it inside the 15, inside the 10. 24-yard run. Cole, what do you got?
Tom, you mentioned J.C. Hassenauer making his first career start. What a luxury, though, for Alabama to have a guy who's been around the program, been inside the system, been coached by Brent Key the past few years, to be able to insert. We see so many teams that have to go with true freshmen and redshirt freshmen that just are not ready to play. I thought he struggled the first few plays against Mississippi State last week, but then really had a good game after that. And he's got some big game playing experience in his past. He's looked great so far today.
Yeah, Hassenauer is one of those guys who got his red shirt burned in a similar scenario, filling in for Ryan Kelly against A&M his freshman year. Jacobs in again for his 2nd touchdown. 7-yard touchdown run for Josh Jacobs. The first for Jacobs, and Hurts has already thrown 3.
That goes down as a pass. I thought that touchdown to Ridley was one of the easiest I'll see, but those little touch passes on the jet sweep, it's just stealing for a quarterback. He gets a passing touchdown for that.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. I don't know why we didn't have that in when I was playing.
Stuffers.
I could have used it.
That's it. That's a pass. Ball moving forward out of the hands of Hurts. And Josh Jacobs untouched into the end zone. 4-score lead. Let's take a look at Playing with Style, brought to you by Belk. And the only thing that's gone wrong today is you're open.
Everything going right for Alabama. The play action pass on point with how good their run game is. When we got a talented receiver like Calvin Ridley going double move on the outside, that's tough to stop as well. Josh Jacobs getting involved. 2 touchdown receptions, even though that one was more like a handoff. But Jalen Hurts not going to have much better of a day than that.
All throws advised. 7 of 7 for a $180. You're kind of joking that we might see Tua Tagovailoa in the third possession. We'll see just when they'll go to the backup quarterback. We will go to the #1 man in the studio. Here is the new father, Peter Burns.
Thank you, Tom. Hey, remember that talk about the U is back? Wesley Corso says, not so fast, my friends. Virginia with the ball, 14-0 over the Hurricanes. And, oh, by the way, Wisconsin up 7-0 on Michigan after a punt return. There it is. Take a look. Wolverines punting in Camp Randall Staven. What a play it was. We'll be at SportsCenter Top 10 tonight. Back to T-Town.
They'll be dancing in Madison after that game no matter what. A little hokey pokey and maybe some on special teams for the Badgers. C.J. Leggett, fourth-year junior from Sewanee. Georgia Tech transfer, picks up 2 yards. Dylan Moses in on the tackle. Mentioned that this is the second time that Mercer is playing the #1 team in the country. Back in 1939, they took on Robert Neyland's Tennessee team. That was a Tennessee team that didn't allow a single point until they lost to USC in the Rose Bowl. That was a streak of 17 consecutive regular season games without being scored upon.
Jeez.
Here's where times just don't change in college football. I'll tell you after this 2nd and 8. Tennessee, by the way, was coming off of a national championship season. And even back in 1938 and 1939, SEC coaches were being criticized for their soft schedules. Neyland drew criticism for scheduling the likes of Sewanee, Citadel, Chattanooga, and Mercer. 1939, they were all over for the Cupcakes.
Unbelievable. That wasn't even a playoff they were worried about for strength of schedule.
No, they were just making up national champions back then. Unscored upon until the Rose Bowl. A game between Mercer and Tennessee was played in Knoxville. Whoa, a little bit offsides on the corner blitz. And they're able to blow the play off, but Tony Brown had the timing all off.
Well, he's fast, huh?
Five-yard penalty. Replay, 3rd down.
You see Tony Brown from the nickel position coming in flying from the top of your screen here. He almost does time it up. Just a hair offsides on that one.
Lee Hedrick and his crew were not going to miss it.
No.
Everybody in the stadium saw it. 3rd and 3 now.
You see if they go back to getting Keelan Riley outside the pocket on this one. Been their trend on 3rd down.
They'll do just that. Riley on the run. Off balance, incomplete. Oh, Chandler Curtis was his intended receiver.
I love the play call. Receiver runs a double move on the outside. They've run the same exact play essentially 2 other times on 3rd down. This time the outside receiver, instead of breaking towards the sideline, nodded and headed upfield and actually had a step on Levi Wallace, but Riley unable to get it further enough downfield.
We had practice on Thursday, and that was the exact same route that Jalen Hurts and Calvin Ridley hooked up on late in practice. And Hurts, right after the play, was diagramming to Ridley where he wanted him to run that route to flatten it out a little bit to get to the sideline. Here's Marks in the punt return for Alabama, looking for a block, and he gets flipped at midfield. Didn't see him coming in from the blind side. 43-yard punt, 25 on the return, and B.J. Buller with his special team stop. This will be a highlight for Mercer and a highlight for Alabama as well on a solid return. Crimson Tide will have it at midfield when we return. ESPN app is the kind of best friend you would take a family portrait with. Stream every ESPN and ABC college football game live at home or on the go. You'll get access to scores, news, and highlights all season long. Download the ESPN app to start streaming now, including UVA trying to knock off Miami. And Alabama's made a change at quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa, a freshman from St. Louis High School in Hawaii, is in the game with 11:51 to go in the 2nd quarter. And he will hand it off to Bo Scarborough. Here goes Bo inside the 10. Eric Jackson knocks him out of bounds after a 43-yard scamper for Scarborough.
And a huge block coming around the corner by J.C. Hassenauer. We talked about him making his first career start on senior day. Power there coming around the edge and blowing a hole for Bo Scarborough.
Hassenauer came out of East Ridge High School in the Twin Cities of Minnesota as the #1 center prospect in the country. At guard today, Bo again, and he gets stuck after a gain of 1.
If that's not a testament to Alabama's depth with the former #1 center prospect, and he's your backup making his first career start as a senior.
So Tagovailoa, 5 touchdowns against the pick. Got in early in the Tennessee game. He's seen a handful of snaps already this season. His high school coach, Cal Lee, coached Timmy Chang. He threw for more than 10,000 yards. Interesting talking about the impact of the run and shoot in Hawaii high school football. Tagovailoa on the run. The lefty hooks up with Henches for a touchdown. It's a 4-yard pass. Third touchdown for Hale Henches.
Didn't have to do a ton there. It's a short, easy throw as he stays out there to be the holder. But the exact same play, essentially, a little bit of a wrinkle in the backfield. Exact same play that they scored on earlier to Irv Smith.
Three-play 49-yard drive prior, a 3-play 40-yard drive. Alabama not wasting any time on a day where some schools are running into buzzsaws. #1 team in the country has a 35-0 lead.
Zone ride, a lefty going the wrong way, flips his shoulders. Really the action in the backfield is what made that play.
10:39 to go in the second. Tom Hart alongside Jordan Rogers. We've got Cole Kubelik down on the sideline today. What can Alabama work on the rest of this game? Because let's be honest, it's 35-0. Last game of the year for Mercer. This might look more like a scrimmage the rest of the way.
Yeah, well, it's depth. On the defensive side of the ball, I don't think you're going to see Dylan Moses come out of this game for a while. The more experience, the more depth, the more practice he gets communicating, the better this defense is going to be. And then when it comes to Tagovailoa, you're going to see him run the ball a lot, but I guarantee they'll still mix in some passes so he can develop. You can't replace depth as you get this late in the season.
It's depth that they're looking for on both sides, as you're talking about, which I think is really interesting from that standpoint. It's not just the linebackers they want to get snaps. It's guys on the offensive side as well. And trust us, Nick Saban's got plenty of ball carriers and weapons on offense that they're looking to get carries to. Nobody's won more games as the #1 coach in the country than Nick Saban. And they're well on their way to another one here today. It's like the tin horn's been reversed so far. Alex Lakes and Chandler Curtis back. Curtis will take a knee. Nick Saban has 122 wins since the start of the 2008 season. That's the most in the FBS. 22nd season overall as a head coach. He's won 5 SEC titles, 24 consecutive SEC wins. That is an unbelievable number. That'll be tested next week in the Iron Bowl on the Plains. Won 4 of the last 8 national titles, and they're looking for their 4th consecutive college football playoff appearance. They're the only team to have been in the first 3. 54-6 as the head coach of the #1 team in the country. That's the most wins as #1 in college football history, more than Woody Hayes, more than Bobby Bowden. Here's C.J. Leggett on the carry for Mercer. Gain of 2. And when we sat down with Nick Saban yesterday, the talk went from his program, the depth they're looking to build on both sides of the ball, quickly into the state of college football and spread offenses versus pro-style offenses. And he was quick to say, listen, I have no problem with the spread. It's just different. It's the evolution of college football.
Yeah,
I said, what's the next step in the evolution of college football? He goes, man, he threw up his hands. I'm just worried about this one. I don't care about what's next.
A guy that came from what he called a single wing offense back when he was a quarterback. Yeah, the wing T. Here's Alex Lakes, the senior, and he's able to pick up
5 yards. I feel like you could just sit and talk football with Nick Saban all day long if you'd be allowed.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I came from a pro-style system growing up. I never took a gun snap in high school, very limited gun snaps in junior college until I got to Vanderbilt. So simply I asked him, it's like, all these coaches I talk to say how easy the spread is to implement, how difficult it is for a defense, the binds it creates for the conflict of run pass. I said, why doesn't everybody do it? And he surprised me. He said, you know what? Because at some point during the game, whether it's a 3rd and 8 or a 2-minute, you're going to need an offense that has an answer and a check for everything. Defenses get very multiple against the spread. Pro-style offense has an answer for everything. Requires a higher level of execution, but that's why teams still hang on to it.
Delay of game on the offense, number 1, 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Lee Hedrick, our umpire today. And Cole, the interesting thing about that is you look back at the background of Nick Saban under Bill Belichick. Defensively, he always wants an answer for every single thing an offense might be able to do.
Absolutely, and having an answer to those variables are what's so difficult, especially when an offense is going fast, Tom. The motions before the play, and then hybrid players, tight ends that can be an H-back or a tailback, or wide receivers that can line up in the backfield, makes it extremely difficult just to get lined up and understand what plays to expect out of what formations.
3rd and 8. And it is caught and taken for a first down by the tight end, Sam Walker. You know, talking a little bit about how Jeremy Pruitt handles this defense, it can be very complicated during the week. It can be incredibly complicated and complex during practice, and Pruitt does a great job simplifying it on game day. And talking with both him and Saban yesterday, how do you make it easier and simpler for guys that don't have snaps and maybe don't have the same recognition as your juniors and seniors? And you could tell that was kind of a push and a pull in something that Nick Saban reluctantly was willing to do in terms of trying to make it easier and simpler and just be able to be in the right spot, even if you only run 4 plays.
I think reluctancy is a good word there, because this is not a defense nor a system under Saban or Pruitt that wants to be simple. The complexity of it is what makes them so good. But when it comes to Dylan Moses, with the injuries to Sean Dion Hamilton and Mac Wilson, he had 4 days to learn the Mike linebacker position. As a true freshman, you're not going to even come close to picking everything up. Now he's got 8 practices under his belt, so we're watching him now as technically a seasoned vet with 2 weeks at Mike linebacker.
And it's not just the starters we're talking about. And Pruitt was quick to point out, you got guys like Vandarius Cowan and Joshua McMillan, guys who had been inside and then moved to outside, and then with the injuries, they had to move them back inside again. Here's a screen to C.J. Leggett, and that's blown up by Dylan Moses. Baton Rouge kid, originally committed to LSU as an 8th grader, but ends up in Tuscaloosa. Loss of 2. They're still fantastic defensively. They've been #1 in defensive efficiency 5 times since the creation of the stat in 2005. Leading the country in points allowed, just 11.2.
Really in a different manner than they did last year. Remember all the turnovers and the scores that defense had last year? Much more efficient, much more structurally sound this season, and not as many turnovers.
15 non-offensive touchdowns last year. This year, 1. Pressured, and that is floated incomplete by Keelan Riley. Deron Payne was able to bring the pressure.
Deron Payne, number 94 in the senior screen, another guy that this Mercer offensive line probably hasn't seen many body types like that. Not huge from a height standpoint, 6'2", about 310, but probably the strongest guy on this entire Alabama team. He takes on double teams and splits them just like that on a regular basis.
You got Payne as being stronger than Deshaun Hand. That dude bends bars in the weight room.
They both do.
Marks lets it take a hop. It will trickle inside the 20 and down nearly to the 15. 47-yard punt from Grant Goupel. Tua Tagovailoa, the true freshman, ready to return for Alabama. Let's take a look at how Alabama players have it made. Brought to you by Clayton. Catapult Sports, an Australian company, developed beeper-sized monitors. They use GPS system to track player workload, acceleration, deceleration, directional changes, and explosive movements. That information is transported through a system that allows Bama to structure their practices and properly manage the rehabilitation of injured players. The monitors can also help prevent injuries by managing the players all season. We should put a monitor on Cole. We should have a tracking system on Cole today.
Hey, we should not tell him, though, because otherwise he's going to be running around the field doing circles if he knows it's on there.
Right, here's Josh Jacobs. His GPS numbers look pretty good. He picks up 9. Cole?
I would find someone strategically to put that thing in their pocket and just pay them to do laps around the field for the entire game.
Well, we might put it on some offensive linemen because they've already shuffled it in. Alex Leatherwood has entered the game now. Matt Womack's at right tackle and Leatherwood over at left tackle, freshman from Pensacola, Florida. Leatherwood, part of that next wave of Alabama offensive linemen. Some folks on his coaching staff have been raving about guys like Leatherwood and Jedrick Wills Jr.
Yeah, Leatherwood actually recruited by Jeremy Pruitt, the highest recruit that Jeremy Pruitt has ever signed in his career. So they are very high on Alex Leatherwood at the left tackle position. Got a steep learning curve. The offense he ran in high school wasn't a ton of dropbacks, so he's getting better and better as a pass protector.
Hassenauer paving the way for Tonga Bailoa, and Tonga Bailoa picks up a couple. So J.C. Hassenauer now over at center after he started at left guard.
Tom, how about Jonah Williams at left guard for Alabama? The staple left tackle for this football team, and right tackle last year, getting some reps at guard.
Made his 26th start today. He's started every game since he's been on campus. Tonga Bailoa connects with Henry Ruggs, and Ruggs lost the football. Mercer says they have a takeaway. They do. It's their 6th takeaway against an SEC opponent this season. And the Bears having a great field position. Sidney Otiwu with the recovery.
Well, we saw the GPS system. Ruggs actually clocked the fastest miles per hour on the entire team. I don't care how fast you run, though. You got to be able to protect the football. And you're right, Tom. Something Mercer did 5 times against Auburn. Take the football away.
Harrison Poole with the forced fumble. Injured player Dorian Kithcart for Mercer. We're back in a moment. Coming up at the half, you can watch the live performance of the $1 Million Band on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming now on the ESPN app. You met Big Al recently, huh?
I did. Can't reveal who's under there, though.
Ah, there's nobody under there. It's Big Al. So read action and a 5-yard gain on first down for Mercer's Alex Lakes. Here's a great story. Alex Lakes, a senior from Noonan, Georgia, came on before Mercer had scholarships available. He's a 5th-year senior. They were in the Pioneer League for a year. That's a non-scholarship conference. He has a school record 32 rushing touchdowns, and he also has a Mercer record for career rush yards. They knew when they came in as Pioneer League that they were going to get to be a scholarship program at some time. They didn't know just exactly when things were going to open up in the SoCon. But Appalachian State, one of 2 programs that left the SoCon to go to the Sun Belt. And all of a sudden, a doorway opened up for Mercer. And after a 71-year absence, the program was back up and running. App and Georgia Southern both moved up, and that opened spots up. So for 2 years, you must average 55 scholarships before you're allowed to play a Division I opponent. Mercer is now fully vested from a scholarship standpoint. In the SoCon, they have 63. They played their first FBS opponent last year against Georgia Tech. And their matchups this year with both Auburn and Alabama will net them north of $1 million, over $600K. The bus over here today to play this game. Here's Lakes again. And Lakes gets dragged down by Dylan Moses. Gain of 4.
All right, this 4th down, they're going to keep their offense out there. Looks like they're going to hurry to the ball here and try to snap it quick. This is where Dylan Moses and his communication comes into play. Keep an eye on 18 right there, directing traffic.
Moses had 9 tackles coming in. He already has 7 tackles today. 4th and 1. T. Mitchell in at tailback. Mercer perfect on 4th down this season. And a change for Riley. Play clock is at 4, 3, 2. A shift. Play clock at 0. And a timeout taken by Mercer immediately prior to the play clock running out.
Mercer. That is their first short timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Well, Miami coming back to tie Virginia. That and plenty more. Let's catch you up with PB.
All right, thank you, Tom. Coming up, the SEC halftime report. Gene Chizik, Chris Doring, and I will tell you the great story about Levi Wallace. What a story that is, kind of from walk-on to star. How about the Auburn Tigers struggling against Louisiana Monroe right now, gentlemen?
Yeah, Auburn needs to crank it up, but Alabama looking good for the most part.
Hey, Alabama does not play down to an opponent. I've said that all year.
73 straight wins against unranked opponents. Might be 74. Back to T-Town.
All right, Peter, thanks. By the way, the spectacles looking fancy today. Nick Saban simply doesn't lose to teams he's not supposed to lose to. Cole, you and I were talking about this at dinner a couple of weeks ago as Mercer looks at a 4th down here. Alabama more than a 7-point favorite under Nick Saban. You got to go back to 07, the last time they lost, I think.
Yeah, since his first season, I think it's happened one time. So if you erase that first season here in Tuscaloosa, it's only happened one other time, and that was at Ole Miss. It's crazy to think about how good he's been.
4th and 1, they're going to throw it. They dump it to the tight end, and it's a first down for Sam Walker. Ronnie Harrison came up with a stop. A little misdirection on 4th and short. Like the play call?
Great play call. You're going to see the backfield loaded, so everyone's thinking run. Riley sticks it in there. Great little play action. A quick, easy throw to Sam Walker. A big 4th down conversion. I mean, at this point, Mercer, they're going to build off confidence and film to correct off of by moving the football. It's a good, positive drive right now for Mercer.
Under 3 minutes to go before the end of the half. Riley keeps it himself. Moses comes in and pops him. Gain of 5. Back to the tight end. It's another grab for Walker and another first down for the 4th-year junior out of South Forsyth High School in Cumming, Georgia. And another stop for Moses.
Yeah, look at Moses right here. This Mercer defense uses a lot of different formations, movements, similar to what Auburn does that they'll get ready for next week. Watch him direct traffic. Pointing, communicating. And as the motion comes across, again shifting his linebacker, Rashaan Evans there. It's big time for a young guy.
Came in with 9 tackles. He's got 8 in his first career start. T. Mitchell keeps his legs, pardon me, Alex Lakes keeps his legs moving for a couple. Cole?
Jeremy Pruitt saying too, Tom, when they get that look to the sideline from the Mercer Bear offense, they are going to change their defense. They're not just going to stay with what they have. They want Moses to look over to the Alabama defensive coordinator, get the new call, and obviously make that change to adjust to whatever Mercer is doing.
We touched on this earlier. I love what he said about coaching defense in the SEC. He said, I love to go on the road because SEC fans are so smart. The stadium becomes quiet when their team has the ball. And that allows me just to holler out to guys and communicate if I need to. Picked off. Second of the game. It's the first for Moses. He has done everything today in his first Alabama start.
Mercer is trying to throw some wrinkles in there. You saw him convert the 4th down with a little play action, dump to the tight end. You're going to see a similar play here. They're going to leak their tight end out, and then they're going to leak someone back this way. And watch Dylan Moses come off of a block, get into his responsibility from a zone standpoint in coverage, and make the interception. Not a great throw, but from a standpoint of what the play was trying to do, similar to that 4th down, the wrinkle they threw in there trying to throw it back to Major Tennyson. Excuse me, that's not Major Tennyson. That's Chris Ellington. He's the tight end for Mercer there. That's a great play. And look, he's got the championship belt there.
It's a major problem. 8 tackles, 2 for loss, and a pick for Dylan Moses in his first Crimson Tide start. Tagovailoa goes over the middle and complete. Lee Bennett was there. Missed opportunity. We're talking about Tua Tagovailoa, and you can't find high school football that's more isolated than Hawaii, right? And in Hawaii, with the June Jones backdrop and the University of Hawaii and Timmy Chang and everything they've done, a lot of those programs run the run and shoot, including the one that Tua came out of. How does that get a guy ready or hinder his development when you come stateside and want to play in an offense like this?
Yeah, I mean, for some programs, you could fit right in. This program, not a chance. Night and day difference between the run and shoot, the spread offense. Now, there's some similarities in the RPOs, but what Alabama does here is much more pro style. The protections, the concepts that Tua is going to be reading, the defenses that he'll be reading. And now twice here, just didn't look like he saw the right coverage. He's throwing into single high over the middle. There's a safety there on the last one. An underneath zone player as well.
And I don't want to simplify too much. My buddy Andre Ware wouldn't be happy with this, but a lot of times in the run and shoot, especially the high school level, you're just looking deep. On third down, trying to spit one, a hurdle, and that'll turn in for a first down for Najee Harris. So from a read standpoint, if you're just dropping back going, I got 4 verticals, or I know I got 2 on this side, run and shoot, let's go.
Yeah, unbelievable play by Harris here. But as you mentioned, the offense, think about it this way. In the spread run and shoot, the RPO-based offense, from a quarterback standpoint, you're looking at one guy, backside. I want to see what this linebacker does. Is he going to respond to the run, and I'm going to pull it and throw it? A lot of times you have only 1 or 2 guys you're actually looking at. In this Alabama or more pro-style offense, you have to win the play before the line of scrimmage. You got to evaluate the entire defense, because that will change your read. You're looking at all 11, not just 1 or 2 guys.
Cali's high school coach, Coach Timmy Chang, who went on, put up huge numbers at the University of Hawaii. Tagovailoa has plenty of time, and that time runs out. And he runs out of the pocket. The freshman is able to take it and turn nothing into a 9-yard gain.
And I told you, they weren't just going to mail it in and start handing the ball off. These are opportunities for the young players to continue to develop. They're going to take shots downfield. He's not as good of a runner as Jalen Hurts, not as dangerous, but as you see there, still very capable and mobile himself.
Hurts was perfect in the first half, 7 of 7 for 180 and 3 touchdowns. Tagovailoa entered early in the second quarter. All Alabama through one half here. 35-0 tied. Let's get to the studio. Peter Burns, Chiz Doring. Take it away, Gabe.
Indeed, that is all 3 of us. Hi, hello. Welcome to the SEC Halftime Report.
Welcome back to SEC College Football, presented by Allstate. Plenty of highlights for Nick Saban's team through one half of play. It was a 3-touchdown second quarter to open this thing up. 35-0 Alabama leading Mercer. What can Alabama work on here in the second half?
I think it's continuing to get experience. Dylan Moses in that first half, 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, but really it was the communicating, getting guys lined up. You cannot replace experience. Team to get those guys some valuable reps before moving into next week.
Tua Tagovailoa played most of the second quarter for Alabama quarterback. We'll see if he gets to start in the third quarter, and we'll see just how deep Alabama might go at that quarterback position before the day is done. Mercer will receive the second half kickoff. 5-5 out of the SoCon. Their second game ever against the #1 team in the country. Coming off of an upset the FCS level last week against Chattanooga. Let's check in with Cole Kubelik.
Tom, I spoke to Mercer head football coach Bobby Lamb. He said, listen, offensively, we want to try to get the ball to the outside, to the perimeter a little bit more, make this Alabama defense run, maybe open some things up. He said, as far as our defense goes, gosh, that offense is really fast. So he didn't know what the answer is, neither do I, because they are really fast.
Yeah, it's interesting. Bobby Lamb, when he was at Furman for a long time as an assistant and the head coach, they ran a lot of option stuff. About 2005, they started to open it up and go more spread. Came to Mercer doing more of it. 99 career wins in 14 years. He was at Furman from 86 to 2010. 9 of those years as the head coach of the Paladins. Son Taylor, the quarterback at Appalachian State. Remember that big win for App against Michigan was 10 years ago this season. They fake the end around. Kalen Riley has time to look deep and will check it near side. Maybe panicked a little bit when he didn't see what he'd like downfield.
Yeah, but I do love the decision. I mean, he was looking downfield for Avery Ward, trying to take a shot, double covered. Great decision. Throw it out of bounds, but yeah, just keep going back to that offense is fast. Yeah, well, so is this defense. They're trying a little reverse orbit motion. Try to steal the defensive eyes, but nobody bites on that one.
T. Mitchell with the carry, and he rips off a first down run. Hootie Jones, who has a pick today, comes up for the stop after a gain of 12. Team high 7 rushing touchdowns on the season for Mitchell, and that 12-yard gain is the longest Mercer play from scrimmage today. Another carry for Mitchell from Jacksonville, Florida. Started off at Air Force Prep, and Mercer, with its high academic standards, is a school that recruits a lot against the service academies and other private schools in the South. Schools like Wofford and Furman. Plenty of talent in the Atlanta area and down around Macon and in rural Georgia for Mercer. They are primarily a Georgia-based roster with a handful of guys from the state of Florida. Batted down by Rashaan Evans. Big time play by Evans. This dude's played just about everywhere from a linebacking perspective for Alabama. Since he came to campus, he can do a lot of different things.
Yeah, moving around so much inside, outside, rushing the passer. I think it's really hurt his development. If he could stick in one spot, he's one of the better athletes. And actually, a lot of coaches say the best pound-for-pound athlete on the entire team. He's great at rushing the passer. But with the injuries, they just need to move him around because he's so talented and versatile.
Coming off of a 9-tackle performance against Mississippi State. On 3rd and 8. Straight ahead, T. Mitchell. Another big play straight up the gut against Alabama, and a gain of 20 that time. Ronnie Harrison with the stop. Cole, what do you think about Rashaan Evans in his time here at Alabama?
Tom, I think he might be the most physically gifted linebacker that I've seen in the Nick Saban era. And I realize, trust me, I've studied those guys. I understand the lineage of that position. And guys like Reuben Foster, Reggie Ragland, C.J. Mosley, the list goes on and on. How quick twitch this young man is when he lines up to rush the passer. His inside moves, the spin move that he has is absolutely deadly. I think he could lead the nation in sacks if he was allowed to just play the Tim Williams role of a year ago and tee off and rush the passer. But he's very gifted off the football as well, arrives at the football with authority. And that's one thing that Jeremy Pruitt pointed out, is just how much thump he brings in the run game. Said he's really physical coming up and attacking the run. He's a lot of fun to watch play football.
Injured player for Alabama was Ronnie Harrison. Harrison being helped off. He'll be replaced by Deontay Thompson at safety spot. Remember, they're already without Minkah Fitzpatrick today. Such a great team leader that Thursday at practice, Fitzpatrick was not in pads, but he was on the field tutoring just about everybody on the defensive side of the ball for Alabama. Riley will check it. After another big run by T. Mitchell. Mitchell straight ahead. So Alabama's expecting Minkah Fitzpatrick to return next week during the Iron Bowl. When he came to campus, Nick Saban gave Minkah Fitzpatrick, as he did everybody, a personality test, a character profile, if you will. And his profile was the closest to Nick Saban than anyone who has ever taken the test. He shares a lot of those same characteristics as his head coach. He is, sometimes you use this as a cliche, a coach on the field.
There can't be a category for that, right? That's just
that would be off the chart.
Off the charts. He's definitely a leader. Good that he's getting some rest this week, though. Those hamstrings, if you don't shut him down at times, can really continue to hinder and bother you. They're going to need him down the stretch. So take a breather, get healthy.
Minkah Fitzpatrick has not been in pads today, and he's, you know, what's impressed me about him, whether it's practice or games, he's such a great communicator, and guys listen to him. They obviously respect him and what he's accomplished and his talents, so those words carry a lot of weight.
Well, and you said at practice, you want to be a good player. Nick Saban and his coaching staff, Jeremy Pruitt, said he's one of the best practice players they have ever seen. That's how you translate, and that's how you become good on Saturdays, starts in practice.
And the communication doesn't have to be words. That's what struck me. There was a missed assignment during the Thursday practice, and Minkah was out there on the field with the play sheet in his hands, and he came off and he looked at one of the defenders, and all he did was raise his eyebrow at him. Like, dude, really? He didn't even have to say anything. Guy's like, my bad, I'll clean it up.
You don't have to preach that to me. I was the youngest of 3 boys, a little bit of a rebel. Boy, growing up, my mom would just look at me. She didn't need to say anything. I did something wrong. She wouldn't have to say it. She'd look right at me, give me, we called it the look. Well, I knew I did something wrong.
Yeah, Minkah's got that side eye, too. That'll straighten you up in a hurry if you're a teammate. 4th and 4. Mercer going for it again. Play clock at 3.
They're going to roll out to the right.
Option look. C.J. Leggett can't get by Dylan Moses. The freshman's got another stop behind the line of scrimmage. 10th tackle of the game for Moses. And his 3rd tackle for a loss. Holy Moses, what a start for the freshman. Impact player at inside linebacker for Bama.
SEC Network Football is brought to you by Pilot Flying J, the official travel center fueling the SEC.
Don't very often see a loss in this stadium if you're cheering for the home team. Bama's won 33 out of 34. Bryant Denny, 4th best winning percentage in the FBS since opening in 1929. Alabama back on offense. Josh Jacobs with the carry. And he picks up 3. New offensive coordinator this season, Brian Dable. Spent 17 seasons coaching in the NFL, 4 years as an NFL offensive coordinator, including with Cleveland, Miami, and Kansas City. He was a graduate assistant under Nick Saban at Michigan State back in 1998 and 99, and we had a great time talking offense with him yesterday. And talking about his decision to leave the Patriots to come here. And he said, I knew exactly what I was getting into. Of course, Nick Saban cut his teeth under Bill Belichick. He said the organizational skills, the expectations, and the opportunity to win, all reasons he came to the college game from the pro game. He's worked with some great quarterbacks.
He has. Laundry list of quarterbacks, and that's one thing Saban mentioned is his teaching progression. Biggest difference of having Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator, not only what you see on the field, which is different pass concepts, utilizing the middle of the field, down the field, much improved as it was last year, but it's teaching quarterbacks. And I think it was interesting. You talked about the Belichick tree, and the Saban tree is he started on defense. He was always defense with Nick, and then he switches over. And the most important part about playing quarterback is understanding defense. It's the first thing he works on. So you're learning from a guy who started his career on defense.
By the way, that's the typical broadcaster's jinx. We start talking about the offensive coordinator, and they punt for the first time today. J.K. Scott, school record in punt yardage here at Alabama, on for the first time to punt it. And this is a beauty. Inside the 10 and taken for a fair catch by Chandler Curtis. It's a 50-yarder. As J.K. Scott has been holding that one in the bag for a while. Mercer back on offense looking for their first points. And now let's take a look at this great team play with today's All-State all-hands-in play. The senior class, 21 of them being honored before the game, living up to those honors during the game. Play after play by the guys who are playing in their final home game for Alabama, including the first start for J.C. Hassenauer coming on senior day. He's paving the way for Bo Scarborough and company. We've got Rashad Evans making plays, Levi Wallace with an interception. And T. Mitchell picks up a yard. It's a 35-0 game. Cole, what's the mood down there on the Alabama sideline?
Tom, I feel like I have been properly welcomed to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as strength coach Scott Cochran is yelling at me from the top of his lungs on the sideline saying, too many timeouts! Too many timeouts! Let's go! Let's go! That's my best Cochran impersonation that I got right there.
There he is with his back to us. he's only 5 yards away from you, Cole. You know, you could move further away if you'd like.
I got my earphones in, so I was trying to block him out, and I'm like, dude, what'd I do? He's like, too many timeouts.
Can we get that one more time?
What, does he have a lifting session planned for this afternoon?
I think he threw in it. Yeah. In between there, too. So.
Hey, you better be careful. If he hears that impression, you might be doing push-ups here in a second.
I'm behind the white line, Jordan. Don't worry about it.
3rd and long. Two contrasting sideline styles between the head coach and his strength and conditioning coach. Sam Walker, the tight end, had a big first half. He motions to the right side. Pitch blown up. Dylan Moses again. Another tackle behind the line of scrimmage. That's his 4th tackle for loss.
He's got some speed. Offensive coordinator Casey Vaught mentioned that they wanted to try to get the ball to the edge, but tough when your middle linebacker is running from the play side guard all the way outside the hashes by the time your running back gets the pitch.
Goupel punts this one away. Alabama's going to have great field position. Did Marks touch it? He didn't think so. And it trickles down to the 42. Hey, Cole, get ready for more screaming. We got another timeout. Let's see what that Alabama sideline thinks of it now. Welcome back to SEC College Football, presented by Allstate. #1 Alabama to go to 11-0. 35-0 lead on Mercer. Our day of college football continues. Coming up next, UAB Florida or Wofford, South Carolina on the SEC alternate channel. And then to cap off the day, Drew Lock in Missouri head to Nashville's West End to take on Vandy. SEC Saturday night. All 3 games also live on the ESPN app. Tua Tagovailoa, freshman quarterback, lobs one towards the sideline, and it is hauled in by Major Tennyson, the freshman tight end, for a gain of 21. So we're talking about Brian Daboll, the first-year offensive coordinator, and his teaching skills when it comes to organizational skills. So I think Nick Saban was talking about. He said, listen, our previous offensive coordinator was fantastic on game day. That dude could call a game, but the development in the organization during the week is something that Brian Daboll brings to the table that's vastly improved from years past.
It's something he brings to the table from both sides of the ball. Having been collegiate, professional side of the ball. On the defense, most important part about playing quarterback, understanding or winning the play before the snap even occurs. Knowing where to go with the ball. Something that Daboll said he preaches. In his meetings, they're interactive. He's calling out things, getting guys up, standing them up, firing questions. He wants to make sure they have an answer for everything on offense. And we've seen it with Jalen's progression. We're getting a little insight on who Tua is going to be down the road.
2nd down, 3. Tagovailoa completes it to Devontae Smith for a first down.
See what, that ball comes out fast. Tua's got an arm.
He's coached some dudes where the ball comes out fast, including Brett Favre. Long time spent with Tom Brady as well, Jake Delhomme and Chad Pennington. That's some.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. Well, I didn't know there's plenty more, but it's just there's 4 of them. It's interesting talking to him about veteran quarterbacks, especially at the NFL level, knowing what plays they like. They go to the slant here, and that's complete for a first down. Versus college kids. And he said, really, there's no difference. Every quarterback knows what they like and communicates it well. It's not like Tom Brady is more likely to tell me what he likes than Jalen Hurts or Tua Tagovailoa would be.
And it was good to hear him say that he learned stuff from his professional quarterbacks and vets that he's worked with, but he continues to learn things from his young quarterbacks as well, what they like, what they're best at, and continues to implement it and fine-tune the approach for each guy.
Tagovailoa has to scramble to get back to the line of scrimmage, but comes up a yard short. Do you think that gets guys' attention in the meeting room? If he ever says, well, with Tom, we did it like this, or with Brett, I like to go to this play?
Absolutely. I asked him, did those guys pick your brain about Tom? He said, absolutely. I'm always trying to impart some wisdom on how he carries himself as a leader of the team, how he practices. You anytime you spend time around the GOAT, Tom Brady.
Yeah. It was a respect thing. He said, I treat my guys like they're professionals, and I've worked with great pros. Leaping grab, back of the end zone, in! A touchdown for Cam Sims, who somehow got his feet down for an 8-yard scoring strike from Tua Tagovailoa. It works. And the professor watching that one on the big screen here.
This is a great throw. You got a 6'5", 215-pound receiver on the outside. Put it high. He climbs the ladder and does a great job catching his foot on the way down.
First touchdown of the season for the senior Cam Sims. Almost blocked. Great speed on the edge for Mercer. But J.K. Scott remains perfect on point afters today. And we got a flag on the play. Mercer may have jumped to make it that close.
Offside on the defense, number 3. That penalty is declined. The try is good.
There's a reason Stefan Huza came so close to blocking that one. Got an early start. Sims finds the end zone for the first time. On the receiving end from Tagovailoa, and a great grab to get the foot down.
All right, late November football, let's get weird. It's all Kurt Binkert's world, and we're just living in it. Virginia coming up, his 4th touchdown pass of the day. He's 18-19. The Who's up 14 over the U. Back to T-Town.
Yeah, Cavs trying to channel a Thursday night against Florida State, the biggest upset they've had in school history. That quarterback's 18 of 19 for 288 and 4 touchdowns. That will throw a wrench into the postseason plans. Alabama, the #1 team in the college football playoff rankings. There's a chance we get 2 SEC and 2 ACC teams in. Need some upsets to occur. Here's a look at Alabama's quarterback production today.
Jalen Hurts near perfect, and what I love, we were talking about it, the progression, the teaching of a quarterback. 2 things I want you to watch. The first thing, how patient he is in the pocket. You're going to see this play takes a long time to develop as Josh Jacobs outside releases and then gets downfield. One thing Brian Dable is mentioning, him forcing Hurts to operate from the pocket, and then this is changing the angle of your throw. This is a levels throw, something a quarterback has got to be able to do. Seeing the field 3-dimensionally. If you looked at it from behind, there's not a window there, but when you manipulate the trajectory of the ball, you find openings. We're already seeing Jalen Hurts is a much improved passer at this point this season than he was even last season.
You are crushing the picture pages.
How about that, huh?
Yeah, that's what happens when you get 2 games in 1 week, I guess.
Yep.
It's all
Better
about
get
the
my
reps.
practice on the telly. Had a little number there, a little arc throw. You don't know what I'm going to pull out next time.
4:07 to go in the 3rd quarter. Hurts only lasted, I think, a series into the 2nd quarter before they got him out of this one. Iron Bowl looming. A yard maybe for C.J. Leggett. For more on Jalen Hurts, here's Cole Kubelik.
Tom, one of the things that I really like about Jalen Hurts' game is what a deliberate runner he is. He understands when to get out of the pocket, and he doesn't hesitate, and he becomes a north-south runner when he does so. Still has solid elusiveness, but also the power to finish runs and finish off defenders, as you'll see. Jalen Hurts with a nice juke and then trucking a Mississippi State defender at the end of the play. I love the way that kid runs the football when he gets out of the pocket.
What does that do for you, Cole, as an offensive lineman, when your quarterback can make plays like that when the pocket breaks down?
Well, especially if he's going to be a north-south runner, I think you understand. If I keep a hat on a hat, then my quarterback has the opportunity to move past me.
Another pick for Bama. Deontay Thompson with his first. Trying to find the end zone. 3rd pick of the game for Alabama's defense. Tip drill pays off.
Yeah, Riley trying to find his check down here. Just a little too much heat on that one for C.J. Leggett. And a ball gets tipped up at the line of scrimmage, it usually means one thing, interception the other way.
12 picks coming in, 3 today. And Thompson, the sophomore from Orange, Texas, gets his first. Nice moves. Looked like Jordan dancing on the way to the stadium today.
That good?
Tagovailoa has a tip and incomplete. We're talking about Jalen Hurts. He's now 3rd on Alabama's career total offense list. John Parker Wilson is 2nd with over 8,000 yards. Hurts has 6,248. A.J. McCarron leads Alabama with 8,969 career. Brian Robinson Jr. getting in on the fun. He's got a touchdown. They're going deep.
Brian Robinson. This coaching staff says he's probably, maybe, I know this sounds crazy, but the most physical runner on this Alabama crew that they got taking handoffs. He played at a lot of other schools, but he's behind a pretty good backfield right now. Good to see him get some action.
5th different running back Alabama has used today. .306 to go in the 3rd. (49-0) Alabama. Over in the Plains, Auburn leads Louisiana Monroe 21-7. Welcome back, Tom Hart, Jordan Rogers, Cole Kublik. So this is all setting the stage for the Iron Bowl. It's going to be a winner-take-all Iron Bowl. Winner of that represents the SEC West. They'll get Georgia in the title game and a chance to be in or stay in the college football playoff. How does this game and today's result get Alabama ready?
Well, it goes a long way seeing Dylan Moses on the defensive side of the ball playing better. I think our only question marks have been Jalen Hurts passing the football. We saw last week at the end of the game against Mississippi State making a big throw when they needed it most. Now on the defensive side, how they replace the injuries, we've seen that. This is boiling down to be a good matchup with Alabama finding some identity on defense with their linebackers.
Okay, but Mercer is not Auburn, and Mercer's running game and their offensive line and the running backs.
But here's what I'll say, that the problems, or not problems, the question marks they had about the linebackers and Dylan Moses wasn't physical, wasn't what he was capable of. It was how much could they put in, right? Could they operate their normal defense, not have to simplify against Auburn? You can't afford to simplify and have a shrunken playbook. Got to have everything in there for how dynamic that offense is. And even just a game like this goes so far for Dylan Moses being comfortable with every play call, scenario, and adjustment.
You guys know how I feel about special teams in Alabama's kickoff coverage unit, and they come up with another stop. These dudes fly to the football.
Over under on how many hours of special teams film you watch a week?
Equal with how much time Cole Kublik watches O-line play.
That's true.
During the return, illegal block in the back on the return team, number 52. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the run. First down.
Special teams work for Alabama because Nick Saban preaches to his guys that if you want to have a long career in the NFL, or if you just want to get off to a good start in your NFL career, you're going to have to contribute on special teams, and they buy in.
Unless you're making $10 to $20 million a year, which only a handful, maybe 4 or 5 guys on an NFL roster are, you got to play special teams. You want to stick around the NFL, you want to translate to the next level, you want to create value on a roster, you got to be good at that.
Tanner Brumby has entered the game at quarterback for Mercer. 4 for 4 on the season. Had a couple snaps against Western Carolina last week. Brumby gets welcomed to the game by being taken down by McKinney.
Brumby and Riley had a competition this spring. There was serious competition in that quarterback room for who would be the starter. Brumby's a little more of a runner. See, Kalen Riley, obviously capable as a runner, but boy, late in the game, I don't care how fast you are, most of the time when you play Alabama, that defense is faster. I learned that the hard way back in 2011. Mark Barron came up and said hello, and it wasn't very nice.
Riley finishes 6 of 19 for 44 yards and 3 picks. You're a guy that likes to talk trash on the field. Did you talk much trash that game?
Are you kidding me? I was trying to remember my name after that one.
C.J. Leggett can't get back to the line of scrimmage. Shaheem Carter in on the stop for Alabama.
To that point, though, real quick, it's interesting. When you're at a school like Mercer, or when I was at Vandy, and you play a team like Alabama, you just haven't faced that kind of speed. You know, as you're running the football, you're anticipating, when am I going to make a move? It happens so much quicker. They'd get to me before I'd even be like, okay, I'm going to cut right here. I'm going to cut left. I mean, the speed is unreal year in and year out with Alabama on defense.
Good chunk of reserves in on the defensive side for Alabama, including Keith Holcomb, who comes up and makes a key stop there. Holcomb had moved into a starting role due to injuries. Also a baseball player and a fourth-year junior out of Tuscaloosa's Hillcrest. $49-0. Kalen Riley out of the game for Mercer. Alabama getting ready to put their offense back on the field. By the way, got a note from Eli Gold right before kick today. And usually these notes, I'll tell you what's on it. Usually you don't really need them. But Eli was kind of pointing out that the third-string quarterback for Alabama. Here's Marks with a chance. Marks to the 30. Marks to the 20, and he'll drag some guys in it. It's helpful to know that Austin Johnson is the third-string quarterback today for Alabama, because we might see Mr. Johnson soon. Let's see Mr. Burns. Peter, what do you got?
Well, you'll just hear from me this time. How about Arkansas, Mississippi State? Well, in Europe, they play football, but it's soccer. That's what just happened here. Mississippi State kicks the ball. It's a mad rush. Bulldogs can't pick it up. 2 plays later, Arkansas would punch it in with Devwa Whaley. Other score or two. How about Miami cuts that lead to 7 for Virginia?
Wow. Interesting doings in Charlottesville. Pardon me, in Miami. That game in Miami. By the way, also in Miami, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will close his career tomorrow on the NASCAR circuit. And he's got a former Alabama linebacker who's throwing around 75-pound tires on his crew.
Important to have that pit crew be quick. Just talking about speed on defense, no wonder. Got a linebacker changing tires.
Got a bunch of former football players on his pit crew. Najee Harris in the game. He's already got plenty of carries today, and he gets another one to take it for 5. Alabama approaching, well, 451 yards of offense. Approaching 500, I suppose. They've scored all 6 trips in the red zone today. They're happy to head to the 4th with a 49-0 lead. So what happens next week? We'll look ahead to the Iron Bowl as Alabama travels to Auburn with the SEC West on the line. One more quarter to play here this afternoon from T-Town. It's a 66-yard touchdown pass. Batted down. Big time play by Evans. A touchdown for Cam Sims. Alabama 450 yards of offense, a 49-0 lead. 4th quarter here, and a couple of freshmen in on this offensive line at both tackle spots. 2nd and 5. Tunga Vailoa looks in zone again. Leaping grab. Touchdown, Derek Keith. Everybody's making plays today.
Well, Tom, the accuracy that Tua Tagovailoa is demonstrating, especially in the red zone, something special. Both these touchdown throws over the top were in the perfect spot. This one a little different than the last one. Keith has a step on him, so you lead him a little bit. The last one, Sims, is about even with the guy, so you make him climb the ladder. Throw it up high. It's impressive.
Double nickel on the scoreboard for Alabama. You okay with Alabama throwing the ball at this point in the game?
Yes, because there's a reason. They're trying to help Tua develop, but from a sportsmanship standpoint, that may be the last we see.
I thought I saw that in Saban's eyes. He kind of had that same look he had a time or two when Lane Kiffin was on the sideline. And I don't know if Tagovailoa is checking to that play at the line of scrimmage.
I was going to say, you know what you have to be careful with when you got a guy in, and I've been there, and you haven't played a ton of football. Sometimes these are checks. These are options. You have this. It's called an alert. If you come to the line of scrimmage and it's a run play and they're stacked, or it's a pass play and you like your matchup, these are things that are built in you can attack. So if that's the case, Tua may be getting a talking to on the sideline. Let's just run the play that's called.
Well, and let's also be honest. It's not like if they just decided to run the ball that they weren't going to score anyway. All right, with developing situation in South Florida, let's take you back to the studio.
Hey, guys, remember when I told you it was all Kurt Benkert's world for Virginia and we're all living in it? I lied to you. Looking like a young Jordan Rodgers, the bad pass, Jaquan Johnson takes it to the house, 28 all now down in Miami. Sorry, Jordan, had to do that for you.
Wow, throwing shade. I think it's saying looking like a young Tom Hart with a turnover chain. Another score for Miami's defense.
Is real.
Wow, Peter, we would call that, whether it was Jordan Rodgers throwing it or anybody else, ill-advised. That would be. Be one thing if you made money in your golf game.
That would be expected.
By the way, in the Big Ten right now, Michigan is leading Wisconsin 10-7 up in Camp Randall. Here's an opportunity for Stefan Huza, and he takes it all the way up to the 48-yard line. 45-yard return. Here's a look at the top 10. Bama and Clemson rolling. Miami tied with Virginia. Oklahoma's in Lawrence, Kansas to take on the Jayhawks a little bit later. Auburn just scored to take a 28-7 lead. I don't think Kansas is going to get in the way of Oklahoma, but then again, we probably would have said the same thing about UVA coming into today's game against Miami.
Tell you what, Wisconsin needs to stop looking at the scoreboard in the stadium. Miami trailing or struggling, that's what Wisconsin needs. They need some of those teams ahead of them to struggle or lose. And they need to keep winning, so stop looking at the scoreboard, take care of that game with Michigan. It'll take care of itself.
First carry for Tyree DeVenson today for Mercer. Freshman from Woodstock. Here's a look at the college football playoff rankings as of Tuesday night. Alabama is the 1 seed. Will take on a 4 seed Oklahoma. Chances for Oklahoma and Wisconsin to win out, 26%. That's not a huge number. You think about the opportunities for chaos still remaining in the final couple weeks. Regular season, then championship weekend. And it wouldn't take too much chaos to get 2 SEC teams in. Or perhaps if Miami holds on, 2 ACC teams in.
Boy, after last week, I'm tired of making predictions.
I believe it.
I don't know what's going to happen. I hope there's some chaos. But the way it sits right there, wouldn't it be fun to see Alabama take on Oklahoma? Baker Mayfield against this defense? I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll see a shakeup somewhere, but
3rd and 2, blitz coming from Holcomb. Devonson got by him and is able to pick up a first down. What do you mean you don't see that happening? You think we're going to have more shuffling?
I think we could.
Let's shuffle the deck and get back to Peter Burns.
Well, the Auburn Tigers trying to get right before that big game in the Iron Bowl. No Cam Petway, so how about another Cam? Cam Martin. I guess that's a wheel route. Maybe 41 yards to the house, 28-7. I lead the wide receiver routes to Chris Doring here, guys.
Plenty of Cams on the Plains, that's for sure. A draw action and back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, you know, in the least, I say we're probably not going to see an Alabama-Oklahoma only because Miami and Clemson, they're going to have to play each other.
Yep.
So someone's going to have a shakeup there. So I only say that because if Oklahoma keeps winning, whoever loses that game, Oklahoma will probably slide into that 2 or 3 spot if they keep winning, but who knows?
We could still have a situation if Miami pulls it out today. And their only loss is to Clemson in the ACC championship game where they both get it.
Depending on how close it is, if a 3-point game, instant classic, absolutely.
Deontay Thompson takes down Tanner Brumby.
Wins and losses are not black and white.
Could also have a scenario with 2 SEC teams in. Alabama's a 1-loss team, and Auburn wins the SEC championship game against Georgia. It's a very good chance those two would get in.
Yeah.
So again, you need shuffle from teams like Oklahoma and Wisconsin to open up that door of possibility.
Well, boy, wouldn't it be tough to keep Auburn out if they ran the table with some of those victories?
We've never had a two-loss team make it. But what I love about it is that would represent a team that has improved over the course of the season. Brumby hassled coming out of the backfield and taken down by Trayvon Diggs after a gain of 2.
And that's really what the committee preaches doing. Wiping the slate clean every single week, evaluating week to week how these teams are improving, who they're playing.
4th and 10. Offense will stay on the field for Mercer. Alabama with some late personnel movement. They run in Jamar King. And Darius Cowan is in at one of the linebacker spots. Brumby to the edge, and it is almost picked. Diggs, who saw regular time early this season but struggled in the Florida State game, couldn't get his hands underneath it. 4 minutes into the 4th quarter. Bama 56, Mercer nothing. More talk coming.
The Iron Bowl is one of the greatest rivalries in college football.
365 days a year in this state, that's what people talk about.
This is the biggest Saturday in Alabama all year long.
Touchdown Auburn! Auburn's going to win the football game! Touchdown Alabama!
That will be forever ingrained in the lore of this rivalry.
So many incredible moments in college football's greatest rivalry, including Punt Bama Punt. AL.com had a fantastic story up this week about the players that were involved in that, including David Langner and punter Greg Gant, who played high school football together. They went opposite ways once they got to college, and their fates would be intertwined. Power run by Brian Robinson Jr. He's able to pick up 14. Alabama leads it 45-35. They've won 7 of the last 9. This is only the second winner-take-all Iron Bowl that will decide the champion of the SEC West and therefore a bid to the SEC championship game. We can't say for sure that it's an elimination game because Alabama could lose and still make the playoff. Auburn would be eliminated. Right. It would be their 3rd loss. It is going to be another eventful weekend. Cole, what's it like to play in that game?
It's unbelievable. Most impressive thing that I've ever done, most memorable thing that I've ever done. I tell you, Tom, what's crazy is I tell people a lot of time the most memorable game that I played in an Auburn uniform was the 1998 Iron Bowl, and we lost that football game. But I was a young man that grew up in Homewood, Alabama, right 35 minutes down the street from here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I went to games at Legion Field when I was a kid. And on the upper deck of Legion Field, it said the football capital of the South. And to me, that's exactly what that stadium was. So to be able to play a football game there, and they were renovating this stadium, and that's why I went back there, and I had the opportunity to play in one more Iron Bowl at Legion Field. To me, the most memorable experience of my college career just because of what that stadium meant to me.
Austin Johnson, the senior, is the 3rd quarterback to take a snap for Alabama today. And we know that it will be an impactful game for the participants and the fan bases regardless of what's on the line. But with so much on the line, next week's going to be even more important if that's possible. What's more important than Peter Burns right now?
Guys, Jalen Hurts, 11 straight FBS wins. The guy who has the most, Alex Hornibrook. What a dime that was. Wisconsin up 14-10 over Michigan right now with about 3 minutes to play in the 3rd.
Wisconsin trying to remain undefeated. Get to that Big Ten title game.
That was a rip.
You liked it?
Oh. And, you know, when it's a lefty, it never looks really good. But
The ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by Mercer. 1st down.
Ronnie Clark coughed it up and recovered by Malik Fleming. His first fumble recovery of the season, and that will give Mercer the football now. So Austin Johnson comes in for a couple of snaps for Alabama, and the reserves turn the ball over.
6 fumbles. Mercer has now taken advantage of against an SEC opponent. Isn't that pretty cool?
Pretty good.
I mean, for a team like this coming in here, who cares what the scoreboard looks like? Guys are still out there making plays.
You know, they went Hoosiers. They went Gene Hackman on that game at Auburn.
Yeah.
Their coaching staff said, listen, guys, it's a 100-yard field, 53 1/3 yards wide. Goalpost same height and width as ours. We're just going to get out there and play football.
They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like us. I've heard that. I've heard that before.
This will be a regular occurrence for Mercer. They got plenty of SEC foes coming up in the future. Able to chase that payday now that they are fully funded from a scholarship standpoint. They play North Carolina, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Auburn, and Ole Miss. Trying to help out their budget. Their entire athletic department budget is $18.7 million. They'll pull in north of $1 million by playing these two SEC games this year. 3rd and 11 forthcoming after the incomplete pass, trying to find the senior Chandler Curtis. Brumby 0 for 2 through the air for Mercer thus far today. His best game this year was against Jacksonville earlier. He went 3 for 3 for 14 yards. He's the backup quarterback to Riley, who left after his 3rd interception. Tanner Brumby goes back, and that's complete to Sam Walker. What a game for Sam Walker, by the way. That's his 4th catch. They're doing a great job using their tight end today.
With the speed and athleticism that Alabama has on the outside, sometimes that advantage, if there is one, your big tight end close to the line of scrimmage, easy short throws for the quarterback. Good play design there, but a few yards short. Sprinting out so much. I was waiting for the throwback screen.
Marks back to return for Alabama. Grant Goupel punts it away for Mercer, and Marks will let it go. Steven Nixon, their long snapper, will down it inside the 5. Couple of great punts from Mercer today. That's a 50-yarder off the foot of Goupel.
SEC Network Football is presented by Allstate, official protector of college football fans.
A couple of highlights for Alabama. It's the 2nd time in school history the Tide have 6 passing touchdowns or more. It's the most since the Southern Miss game November 11th of 1950, when Alabama threw 7 touchdown passes. Austin Johnson at quarterback for the Tide. Cole, what are you seeing down there with this Alabama offensive line?
Tom, I see big 76 Scott Lashley making his first appearance in the game, and I can't help but wonder, at 6'7", 310, I know a lot of these guys are going to play in the NFL, but maybe who would have the better professional wrestling career? Scott Lashley or Raekwon Davis on this defense? Because I've never seen a physical human being like Raekwon Davis that I saw the other day at practice. And I know Vince McMahon probably doesn't watch college football, but I don't know, maybe Conrad Thompson can get on his podcast or something, but these dudes could absolutely get into the ring and throw some guys around. Behemoths.
That seems to be a common theme this week around the Alabama football program. How about the tweet that went out from Christian Miller featuring the look on Randy Orton's face when the Undertaker came out of a flaming coffin to come back in the ring?
Unbelievable. The editing skills on that video were about as good as the message.
It's really interesting for Christian Miller. We saw him out in the practice field on Thursday running with the Alabama scout team. He's out with an arm injury and still gingerly being out in the field. He hadn't really even been running around that much, so who knows if he can return for the Iron Bowl or even after that. But he could have a redshirt season, right? A medical redshirt. He only played in the first half against Florida State. and was injured in that one. 3rd and short. And Alabama's able to pick up the first down. By the way, this time of the season, as we start to look over a team's entire body of work and we check out their resume, right, to get to the rankings, and the College Football Playoff Committee looks at that, how can you fairly judge Alabama's demolition of Florida State? That was the Florida State team that we all thought we were going to see. And for 6 months, everyone called it the greatest opener in college football history. That was a healthy Florida State team. That was a confident Florida State team. Not the shell of the team that is now. Why isn't Alabama getting more credit for that win?
It's a great question, Tom, and I don't agree with it. When you look at Clemson, the committee has obviously favored that loss to Syracuse because of the loss of Kelly Bryant during that game. So they're giving them essentially a pass. Well, why is Alabama not given not a pass but more credit for beating a full-strength Florida State team? I don't care what Florida State's record is right now. With DeAndre Francois, that is a different Florida State team then and now. They should get more credit than they're getting for that win to open up the season.
And that was a healthy DeAndre Francois. Yes. It was a 3-touchdown lead, and he was going to come out of the game anyway if he hadn't gotten hurt on that final play. It was a 24-7 win in Atlanta.
I just don't see how that's different than giving Clemson a pass for not having Kelly Bryant in. Then they should award more of a strength of schedule, more credit to beating the Florida State team that was full strength with their quarterback than judging who Florida State is today and saying, oh, that win wasn't that great.
You sat in with the committee, the mock selection process a couple months ago. Another first down run for Alabama. It seems to me, as an outsider, that they give more credit for big wins than they detract from bad losses. And Syracuse more and more is looking like a bad loss for Clemson, regardless of the quarterback situation.
You got to think about it. There's 5 coaches that make up that committee of 13. So it's not just the win column, the loss column. Who have you beat? What's your strength of schedule? They're watching tape. Each one of these committee members gets an iPad that's loaded with the coaches' cuts of tape, the same thing that me and Cole watch on a week-to-week basis.
And my special teams.
I was just going to say, the same cuts you're watching on special teams. So they notice these things. They notice personnel. They notice games and execution and how offenses fared against certain defenses. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just how many wins do you have, how many losses, and who are they against.
They also pay attention to competitive losses and non-competitive losses. And Ohio State's a team that's just sitting right there in the periphery. If we have chaos, if Ohio State wins the Big Ten, there's an outside chance they could slip in. It's going to take massive chaos. And I don't think Ohio State is deserving because of the 2 blowout losses that they suffered.
You know what? I think the Oklahoma loss early in the season was at 31-16, I believe, at their place. I think it looks better and better as the year goes on. But you're right, giving up 55 points to Iowa, a team that, oh, by the way, just got blown out by Wisconsin.
Was held to 66 yards total.
And only 14 points off of 2 pick-sixes. So an Iowa team that scores 55 on Ohio State and then gets blanked on offense by Wisconsin, a team that everyone's like, oh, how's their strength of schedule? Where are they going to be?
So then, in that scenario, help me out then. Who's a team on the outside right now, outside of Auburn, because we know they can play their way in from a destiny standpoint, that you think, not you were predicting that they would be in, that would deserve to be in? If we agree that Ohio State, with chaos, still would have a resume deserving of being among the top 4.
I'll tell you what, I've been a big proponent of Wisconsin this entire time, just because of the standpoint of this is why we have a playoff system. And at the end of the year, if Wisconsin wins the Big Ten championship, they'll have beat a top 25 team in the committee's eyes, most likely Northwestern, who may finish in the top 25, an Iowa team. They'll have beat a Big Ten champion. There's a chance that they could have 3 top 25 wins at the end of the year. I don't care who else you play. You win undefeated in the Big Ten, you won your championship, and you have a handful of maybe not great, but good wins. I think in Wisconsin, if they win out, they control their own destiny, they have a chance to make the playoffs, and they should.
Currently number 5. They now have the lead at home against Michigan, 21-10. Let's not forget, by the way, Clemson still has a very good South Carolina team on the schedule.
Will Muschamp can call up some defense. It's not a pushover.
Austin Johnson, a quarterback for Alabama. He will take a knee. They're looking to run this thing out. Let's check in with the studio.
All right, gentlemen, time for our AT&T Phil Pass. One of the games that's going to be coming up right after this one. Felipe Franks getting the start against Bill Clark's upstart UAB squad down at the Swamp. That game after about an hour of Phil after this one.
All right, Peter, thanks. Bill Clark revitalizing that UAB program after their rebirth. Johnson with the fake knee decided to pick up some yardage. Keep that mouthpiece in.
Timeout. Alabama. That is their first charge timeout of the half.
44 seconds left in this one. We're going to pace some Bills back to Tuscaloosa in a moment. Alabama to punt it away, up 56-0. Plenty of rests and nice moves. Bobby Lamb will have exit interviews with his seniors early this week. Send the team home for Thanksgiving, then get right back at it. This is their season finale. They had a good season, big upset win against the Catamounts, the top 25 team in the FCS last week. They're going to have a great team coming back next year. Boomer of a punt. That was fantastic. Call it a 54-yarder. Going to give you a chance to ruminate on how great that punt was. Think about that while you're watching these commercials.
ESPN, home of the New Year's Six and the College Football Playoff.
Alabama #1 in the college football playoff rankings. Nick Saban's team looking to return for the 4th consecutive season. Nobody made it to the first 3 except for Alabama. And continuing the trend that we talked about earlier, Nick Saban's team quite simply doesn't lose games they're not supposed to lose. The consistency with this program is remarkable. The excellence. Once again, in our meeting yesterday, Nick Saban dismissed the word expectations. He said, you know, they're out of whack here. They're out of whack a lot of places. You allow 50 yards rushing to a Mississippi State team that ran the ball 56, 66 times. And, wow, what's wrong with your defense? Defense is saying, well, listen, they got a great running quarterback. They got a good offensive line. They're going to run the football a little bit.
I thought that was amazing. Everyone's talking about how they were soft up front. They only give up 3.5 yards a carry.
Another win for Jalen Hurts and a 73rd consecutive win for Alabama against an unranked opponent, tying the Florida Gators under Steve Spurrier and company. The longest streak in the AP poll era since the 1930s. Jalen Hurts was perfect 7 for 7. A perfect start to the season for Alabama. And head coach Nick Saban, he's with Cole.
Coach Saban, describe what you learned about your football team today.
Well, you know, we wanted to come out here and build some momentum for the next week's game, and I thought we did that. So, you know, we got things that we can improve. We got to play a lot of players today, but guys competed to a standard, which is what we wanted to try to get.
You mentioned next week's game. Based on your experience, what does Iron Bowl week mean to you?
Man, I tell you what, it's great for the state. A lot of great fans on both sides. A lot of passion. Best rivalry I've ever been involved with.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Tom, back to you.
All right, Cole, thanks. In a rivalry that means even more this season. For the second time, it's an all-in Iron Bowl. The winner wins the West, and the winner will have a leg up on a college football playoff berth. Minkah Fitzpatrick and some of the great players on defense didn't even play today, but Jalen Hurts did. He started. He was 7 for 7. That earns him a visit with Cole Kubler.
Jalen, how did you feel about your performance today?
I mean, I think we did a good job as an offense. Got to protect the ball a little better. We had two fumbles we lost, but I think we did a good job of executing for the most part.
How has this offense grown the most over the course of this season, in your opinion?
I think we've built a lot of trust, you know, on our side of the ball, and I think we're just playing together. We just have to, you know, continue to build and build where we're at right now, from where we're at right now.
Now, you've been a part of one, but when I say Iron Bowl, what pops into your mind?
The Iron Bowl is next week. Coach Saban always says, enjoy this for 24 hours. So I'm going to enjoy this one and get ready for them when 24 hours is up.
You're going to take those 24 hours and then you'll worry about it.
Yes, sir.
Jalen, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Congratulations. Tom, back to you.
All right, Cole, thanks. 56-0 win for Alabama, and Jalen Hurts was fantastic. He was efficient.
Didn't see a ton of him, but we saw what we needed. He was mobile. He was accurate. Didn't have an incompletion today. Patient in the pocket. As I diagrammed earlier, all these signs that he's continuing to improve as a passer.
Jalen Hurts goes 7 for 7 for 180 and 3 touchdowns. That double move for Calvin Ridley was a 66-yard touchdown pass. This counts as a pass to Josh Jacobs, who takes it in from 9 yards out. Tua Tagovailoa came off the bench to go 7 for 11. Pretty good numbers combined, 14 of 18 with 6 touchdowns and 0 picks for the Alabama quarterback duo. They even got to the third. Was done. So Alabama goes to 11-0 on the season. They've got the Iron Bowl next week. Yeah, they still have some guys that are banged up, trying to get healthy, and they were impressive in many ways, especially defensively. Tom Hart alongside Jordan Rogers. Dylan Moses got the start at middle linebacker today. They were looking for a more athletic middle linebacker to make plays, to run the defense. I don't know that he made any mistakes today.
No, when you flip on the film Mississippi State, you saw some hesitancy at the linebacker position. Keith Holcomb was hesitant. When Dylan Moses came in, he's aggressive. The talent, the physicality has always been there. It's just about understanding what's going on, getting guys lined up, and you can't replace the experience that he was able to garner today, even again if it's against a lower opponent that you're going to face next week. But he was aggressive, the talent. As I stated, one of the more physically ready guys that Alabama's ever had at the linebacker position. But up until last week, just 4 days as a linebacker. Now he's got 2 games under his belt as a middle linebacker. Valuable.
He had 9 tackles in the season coming in. He had 11 tackles today, 4 tackles for loss, and you saw the interception. So it gives him something to build on, especially against a great Auburn running team and a very good offensive line.
Yeah, Auburn's going to be dynamic. They're going to be explosive. I think the biggest thing that we're going to see from this game outside of Dylan will be staying healthy. And Minkah Fitzpatrick had another week to rest the hamstring. They're going to have him against Auburn with how dynamic that offense is.
So Alabama stays undefeated. The Iron Bowl will decide who represents the West in the SEC championship game. They're trying to add another line to their national championship flag. The banners fly high and proudly here in T-Town, and it looks like they're on the way to another historic season. Coming up next, UAB and Florida. Screaming good game for the young fans here at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama with 530 yards of offense, a 56-0 victory. Plenty more football to come before we get you to the next game. Plenty of time for the guys in studio to earn their paychecks. Let's get you back to PB, Chiz, and Doring.